before we cut in, I'm actually going to give us 2 seconds because we always start talking and then we're all of a sudden like, hey, it's better Jake cut on, there's no, it's hard to edit.
Yeah, there's no.
You know, I've got to catch us like half his faces are like, in 2, 1. G'day guys, it is Ben
and Jay
from Hunt The Night. Now, welcome to episode 4 of the StockCast. A little bit different this week.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it's not. I mean, we're 4 episodes in. How could you say it's different when there's only other 3 episodes?
Yeah, true.
Well, we don't have Karen here to flash her boobs. No, we don't.
We do have Nick though.
We do. How's your week been, dude?
Yeah, busy as usual. Good.
What are the highlights?
We got out for a hunt on the weekend.
Yeah, that was good.
That was good fun.
Yeah. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, you will see me shooting a fox at 200 metres with a blackout subsonic.
And you will hear me laugh like a little girl.
I'll probably just put that in as a sound overlay.
We'll insert that.
That was a lot of fun, eh?
That was
like getting out and actually testing the ballistic rangefinder. So we spoke about ballistic rangefinders last week or the week before, what it was. Anyway. So we thought, well, let's really test them. So with the blackout, shooting 190 grain subsonic rounds, and all that information, that was just dry.
Yeah.
That was, I tested it at home, so like zeroed it, put all the information in, ran the chronograph. I did compare it to what I would expect to see.
So you didn't validate that range at all?
No, man.
Oh, wow.
No, man, I just plugged it in and ready to go, put all the info in. We'll talk about how.
Yes.
I did it in a minute and what I used, because that's part of today's thing.
Yeah.
And no, I didn't validate that at all.
That's
it was
all
just point and click, and that fox, it took a tumble. It was a lot of fun.
I was shooting them a lot further away, but it's alright. It's okay.
Well, when you're using a 6.5, like, you and your boyfriend getting a squirrel grip going on.
You were with me, so.
I wasn't your boyfriend that night.
It's alright.
But yeah, we had wild 650s come back into stock and go. We're out of stock again.
Yeah, we're gone. We had Alpexes come into stock and they're gone.
We had 20 odd of them.
Yeah, 20 went in a week. So
we were hoping to talk about Mark IVs this week, the new FX Impact, but I reckon maybe next week we'll be talking about them.
Looking at them, yep.
Maybe.
On track.
I'm hoping to.
Yep.
Oh gosh, I'm looking forward to that. That is going to be some fun.
It's going to be very
That's probably going to be the whole segment.
Oh no, it will be.
Now, where do you want to start? Let's start with ballistics.
Yeah, we've already brushed on that last week. We've kind of brushed
in on that, okay? And we've got, I've said, Jace, you can run this bit. Jake? Not Jace. I know every time. I've said you can run this little bit because you use these extensively and I talk too much sometimes.
No, that's alright.
What are we looking at?
So, we brushed on ballistics last week, and one of the biggest things for your ballistic calculators you need to input is your BC and your speeds. And to cross them, like you need them, we need to get something like these two. Yeah.
So these are our 2 main chronographs that we sell. We do have a smaller one, the pocket chronograph for air rifles.
For air rifles,
and so on. But these are our 2 main chronographs. We sell absolute a bucket load of these. Mm-hmm. But I found with these good for speed.
Yeah, great for speed. They pick up on a real low speed too.
Yeah.
These are actually 100 feet per second they can pick up on.
Wow.
Yeah, to 5,000.
I've never shot that slow because I'd get a squibby.
Yep, 300 blackout, you might do that someday. But they're both radars. They're both nearly identical apart from the size and stuff.
Except there's a few major differences.
There is a few major differences.
This one out of the box I absolutely love. Like it is so simple to use. You turn it on, you point it at your target, you put your projectile weight in.
That's it.
And you're good to go.
Done.
Okay. But what it doesn't give me is a measured BC.
Correct.
So therefore I don't get my dope strings running out of it.
Yep.
Okay, because it's single radar. The FX one, which is a dual radar system, this is the one I use all the time when I'm doing our FX builds, or use FX builds, because this measures BC.
Yep.
And it then gives us, through the element app and on screen, you can actually set the distances and what your holdover is, and you can then compare that to your
saves a lot of time as well.
Yeah, a lot of time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It is actually brilliant.
You can nearly get away with validating with the true ballistic chronograph.
Yeah. Now, so I use these 2 different ways then. One, if I'm just doing a standard load development, I don't need all that information because I'm looking for a low SD, right? So I'm looking for a powder node that's going to Have you got your phone?
I do actually.
Can you please take a photo of what is going on out there? Nico is outside the room and he has put on the tactical helmet and looking like an absolute...
We'll put this up now. This is going to be the thumbnail.
Okay. Okay. Load development. This thing works perfectly fine.
Amazing.
Okay. Especially if I don't want to carry a lot of equipment. Fits in my bag real easy. Gives me my speeds. The speeds are bang on.
Accurate as well.
And that's what I'm looking for. So when I'm looking for my powder note, I'm looking for consistency of speed.
100%.
I don't need to know everything else. Okay. But if I'm tuning something like an air rifle, for instance, or a ballistically based scope, this is my go-to.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how I use both of them.
And that is why FX made them, to mainly suit their...
Well, they call it true ballistic.
Yeah, to mainly suit their air rifles for tuning.
Yeah. Well, not just air rifles. This will do your full supersonics, you know, as well. I run this with...
I use it for all my guns, actually.
It runs it for everything, because actually, you know, that measurement is out over distance. So that is the difference in terms of these two chronos. If you're into ballistics, get this chronograph. It is amazing what it can do. If you're just into load development and you're not looking for that ballistic information, or you enjoy the process of creating that ballistic information yourself, that Garmin is freaking amazing.
So small.
It is so small.
So small. 100 feet per second. I can nearly run past this in a trigger.
You
Probably not actually.
100 feet per second. I would like to see that. You and me, we have a race.
Yeah, the front.
Yeah, who's the slowest over 100 feet per second?
No.
I win. All right, that's a little bit on chronos, guys. It's worth delving more into these on YouTube. There's heaps of information on it, but we do get asked the question a lot: which chronograph? Ballistic? Just hand it. Yeah. Load. Yeah.
Must have if you're getting into the reloading.
Yeah, definitely. If you're into reloading, you need a chronograph.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, you got all these rings. What have you got here, Dave?
We've got...
Let's actually, I'm going to move some stuff so I can play with it. I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to move these monoculars just a little. We're going to talk about them in a minute and why we've got them out. But I do want to keep this here because this is our torque wrench kit. Oh, the Wheeler 100 piece. Nice little torque wrench.
Yeah. Well, ours is actually a 99 piece. Don't know where that one piece went.
It actually looks like it's 98 because it's a sheet.
That's all right.
It wasn't me. All right. We got asked a question in the comments a couple of weeks ago. Can you do something on QD mounts, return to zero, that type of stuff?
Yeah.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit of these, but when should I insert it? After we've talked
probably
about
at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
I assume. Yeah.
All right. We're going to insert something into this video in a minute.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this. Okay. Talk me through it.
Well, we'll start with, we'll go right to left. We'll run over the basics and what they're, pretty much what they are. So this is a Porter uni mount, one piece uni mount. You still have to torque it to your rail regardless. So that's just a quick brush over that one. You've got the Leopold QRW2s, which are the thumb quick release onto your Picatinny rail. Same deal as the uni mount, these are the Porter rings. They have to be torqued to a rail. And then you've got a one-piece mount like this, which is the Bobro dual lever, which actually torques onto your rail.
So that's self-tightening.
Yes.
There is another type of mount we don't have on the table, which is like a little bit of that with that.
Correct, yeah.
But we're kind of out of stock,
Yeah,
so we didn't have one on the top. I guess the point of this, though, is it doesn't matter which platform you use. I'm really confident you're going to get a return to zero, even if your base pressure isn't the same.
Correct.
Okay, so when we talk about these, these are non-torquable. You screw these in.
Yep.
But I reckon, and maybe we need to do a second video on just these ones.
QDs, yeah.
But if we go to the video now, then you will see the testing we've done with these rings and getting a return to zero.
Yeah. It'll blow your mind.
On my 308.
Yeah.
So let's go to the video and out on the range.
All right, g'day guys. It is Ben here out on the range. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the StockCast. This is also probably an episode video by itself, but we are inserting into the StockCast because one of our members did ask us, can you tell us about QD mounts, testing them, and return to zeros, and so on. Now, not doing QD mounts today because I don't have QD mounts on this scope, but in theory, this should be a little bit trickier to get back to zero than QD mounts, okay? So what I'm going to do today is run my Pulsar Thermion 2 XL50, which I've had off my 308 for a little bit because it's been on my blackout. We're going to throw it back on there. I'm going to shoot a group, see what that group looks like. Then I'm going to take it off, and then I'm going to put it back on, okay? And see how she groups if it's in the same spot. Now, I am using a Wheeler torque wrench to do this, and the first time I put these on, and the second time, we'll do it for consistency, running 40 inch-pounds, okay? We might do a third test, or take it back off, put it back on, and say 30 inch-pounds, and then see if that gives us a different point of impact. We are just shooting today at 50 yards, but we'll give it a crack and see how she goes. All right, so now, that was my first shot. I really didn't have a good hold. You want to see me struggling to get a better one. We're our next two there, okay? I will refine this zero after this test. Basically what I'm going to do now is take the scope off, put it back on, shoot it again, and we'll see where our point of impact is. Then I'm going to, if it's pretty consistent, I'm going to take it off, put it back on with a different amount of pressure, and then we'll shoot at this target here and see how it performs. All right, so what I'm going to do now is take off the scope fully. Then we're going to put it back on, see what the point of impact does. One key thing when you're doing this, especially with Picatinny, is you have to make sure you put it back in the same slot, but also the position in the slot. And I'm going to show what I mean by that, right? I'll just loosen all this off. You can see within the slot there's a little bit of movement. Okay, you want to make sure you push it up against the slot, because as the rifle comes back, the scope wants to go forward. So if it's sitting there, you're actually going to get some movement. So we're going to take it off, now fully off. We're going to place it back on. Now I'm using Porter Machine Works rings, which are Australian made, and they're absolutely fantastic. Okay, so we're back in the same slot. Now, I don't do all these up at the same time. I'm going to crimp this back one first a little bit. Not full pressure, but just enough so it's secure. I'm going to do the same with this front one. And just get a position where it's kind of, you can feel it bite, okay? Now I'm going to go back to this inside one here. I'm going to torque this one here up to the 40 inch-pounds. I'm going to go to the front inside and torque it up as well. I'm going to go back to the back and then back to the back there, okay? And now we've torqued it all back into position, so we're going to give it a shoot and see how she goes. Well, we're shooting effectively in the exact same spot as we were, which is kind of predictable because I knew that would kind of happen. But now I'm going to take it off though, and we're going to use slightly different base pressure, and we're going to repeat the same test. And we're going to actually shoot back to here because I know where this grouping is. So we're going to do it at 30 inch-pounds rather than 40. Now, the reason I want to conduct this test and doing it at 30 is because not everyone has a torque wrench, but we always talk about, you know, we want to get a consistent level of pressure back through the rings, you know, to make sure it's all, you know, like it hasn't been taken off. So I've actually never done this test before. I have done the other test because I take scopes on and off all the time. So I'm just going to reset this to 30 and take this scope off, which we've done. We're going to now put it back on in the exact same spot, push it forward. And there, okay. Now we're going to go through and shoot it again and see what the grouping's like. Well, as you can see, even with a change of base tension, backed off 10 inch-pounds, there's no real deviation in point of impact. Now, I know it's only 50 yards, but if there was a point of a real change, you would still kind of see it if it's off a lot. That's still shooting pretty consistently. Anyway, that's it, guys. I'm going to kind of zero it up for tonight's work, but hope you enjoyed this segment of the StockCast, or you're watching it as its own separate video. Either way, back to the show.
Right, and we're back.
That was quick.
That was pretty cool, eh?
Yeah. Never run so fast. Pretty sure that's 300 feet per second, that one.
That was a long way. So outside of that, I mean, look, it was done at 50 metres.
Yep.
But there's no noticeable change in point of impact over that whole testing.
Definitely.
Okay. And I know it was done with rings, but we did it with two different base tensions at 40 and 30, and it still made no noticeable. I would argue that as long as you're using Picatinny and it's in the same Picatinny slot and you've pushed it forward and you get it back to approximate base tension, and I say approximate because you're only going to get approximate with this, I reckon you're good.
Yeah.
I reckon you're going to get
100%.
Now, I don't. We'll do some testing.
Will.
You're going to
I'm
do,
gonna do some testing
this week.
Yeah.
For next week's episode, out to 200 odd metres and see what happens.
Well, Sam did it out to 100. He's already done the testing to 100 for us, and he said that there is minimal point of impact shift. He said give or take one click at 100. Give or take. Sorry, not one rotation, one click, which is phenomenal. You know,
half an MOA, 1/4.
Yeah, 1/4 MOA, or 1 mil if you're using mil. So
not much.
Amazing.
Yeah. When I'm shooting in at a deer, it certainly doesn't make a difference.
Well, if you're shooting sub 150, you know, you don't.
Now, part of the reason why we want to demonstrate this and push this a little more is because a lot of the scopes we have these days, especially the thermal and digital scopes, you can saw multiple rifle platforms on there, okay? So you can have, some of them got 10 different profiles that you can have. You can have as many as you want because you can just write down the XY coordinates as well. But as long as you put it back in the same Picatinny slot, there absolutely should be no reason why you're getting a return to zero.
For my instance, you open my gun safe, I don't have a single scope on my guns.
Yeah.
Because I just leave them, my one scope in a good set of rings, you know, talk to spec, and then...
Well, the other issue we have too is like a lot of them have got internal batteries, so they've got to come off the charge. You know, unless you're going to run some India safe, some power or something, you know, which is a pain in the ass. They've got to come off the charge, so you can have the actual confidence that you can take it off and put it back on. All pro things. You do not need to use a torque wrench. You can use an Allen key. My advice would be, if you do want that consistency, buy a torque wrench. They are fantastic.
Best invention ever. Oh, invention. Sorry, not invention. What's the word? Investment.
Investment.
Yeah. Not only for scopes, it's good for, you know, putting rails on, checking your torques on your stocks and chassis. Because you wouldn't believe everything is torqued to a certain spec on a gun. So.
Or when it comes from the factory, it's not, but it's meant to be. So, you know, we like to check it all. Definitely. Anyway, that was really cool because, I mean, look, I've been doing that for a long time in terms of just being happy, but I've actually never gone through the process of different bases.
It's surprising, isn't it?
It was a little bit of fun to do.
Shock yourself a little bit.
Yeah, cool. Let's get rid of that. All right. Lastly, now, let's get rid of these. They're cool. And let's talk a little bit of these. So, we wanted to have a little bit of a chat about handheld, compact, non-range finding, entry-ish level monoculars. Okay, I say entry-ish because this one here comes in both entry and high spec. Okay, so the Pulsar Axon comes with or without rangefinder throughout the whole range. We often, because we spend a lot of time talking about remote mounting, the ISN stuff. What about the people that just want to walk around, slipping in and out of the phone nice and easy?
These are probably the two best, you know, entry level units. Well, one entry level unit. This is an updated version, but this is probably the biggest seller in regards to entry level handheld monocular.
Now, this is the older version of the Hick Micro Lynx, which I think now has been discontinued.
It has been,
and this is the version 2.0. Not a heap of difference between the two, except this has got a much nicer feel.
It does.
And now instead of an external battery, we've got an internal battery, an 18650. Okay. Now I love 18650 batteries because you can get them anywhere. Anyone who has an Olight has an abundance of 18650 batteries, you know. But we're seeing them in across the Hick Micro range in terms of the Panther. the Stella 2.0.
Yeah.
Oh, big news from Hick Micro this week. Did you see that? They finally announced they're launching 3 new products.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what they could
What's
be.
that? No idea.
One looked like a... well, another one looked like... Anyway,
Technical difficulties.
Technical
I don't know what's going on there.
Oops, dear, don't know what's going on there. Anyway, but this is the version 2.0 of the Hick Micro Links. Really, really small, compact unit, okay? The thing that is lacking on it, though, for me, the only thing is there's no hand strap.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I would like a little hand strap on it. But, you know, really nice little unit. It records colour palettes, zoom in and out your buttons. The buttons on this one are so much nicer than this one.
They've done an
the
update.
run time is better.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a fan of these rear diopters. That's generally the sign of a cheaper monocular, because the way that's built is a lot cheaper to build.
And not having the ability to focus your front lens.
Yeah, but on a 15mm, when you're talking about short range, wide field of view, it's probably
100%.
not that necessary, you know, as well.
Perfect
Certainly,
for like deer stalking and stuff, you know,
yeah,
50
pigs.
metres,
Yeah, dogs on pigs.
Yeah.
I saw heaps of these
Screw
guys
in
do
your
running
top
dogs.
pocket, you know.
Top pocket, yep, okay. And the other one we've got that's nice, easy, and I love the way you hold these,
Yeah, they're very comfortable.
is the Pulsar Axions. Very comfortable to hold in your hands.
Yep.
You know, your buttons, your hands, your fingers fall in a natural position.
Yep.
They do take, this one takes an APS 5 battery from Pulsar,
Yep.
so it's not an 18650. I would prefer if Pulsar moved to a generic battery.
That'd be amazing.
But if you go into the one that run the APS 3 batteries, you at least have a consistency between your scopes and your binoculars, you know, your mergers,
stuff,
you know, that type of stuff too. Nice and easy holding your hand. It does have the rear diopter and also the front focus
front lens,
okay. These are nice and simple. If you're just looking for something small, compact and handheld, these lines, whether it be even in the Hick Micro that goes up to LH25 in this.
Correct,
so we've got the LH15, 9 and 25, 3 different lens sizes, all similar size, all easy, handheld, slipping out of your pocket type thing.
Perfect.
Now, I think these are going to explode if GMA change the regulations, and there's a survey out at the moment in the Victorian High Country to allow handheld monoculars.
These would be perfect little units for that.
Now, let's talk about this, because I don't think we've spoken about it, and I didn't even think about speaking about it, but it made me think about it now. Okay, we are obviously heavily invested in the thermal industry. We want to see the progression of thermal. We love using thermal. It's great. Okay. So my question to you, without notice and off the bat, I've not prepped this, Jace. When that survey came out, I knew that was coming out because we've had conversations with GMA. They came and spoke to us and got our opinion on things. There was a question on there about would you, your thoughts basically around using thermal monoculars, around using thermal scopes in public land access.
Yep.
Tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you what I think.
I mean, I'm for it. At the end of the day, you know that they.
Okay, I'm actually, because I'm actually drawing this conversation in a different way that you don't know. Handheld binoculars.
I'm still for it.
Still for handheld.
Still for it.
Yeah,
I am. I just feel like with everyone saying, the deer problems and stuff are out of control at the moment. They want to reduce numbers. They want to get less aerial colours and stuff in. They're giving the hunters an advantage, with using a little handheld monocular to, detect their target.
Yes.
Now, in regards to saying I'm for it, I don't think I'm for thermal scopes.
Yep.
Just because it still can be quite hard to identify your target with the thermal scope.
Yes.
Now, I agree that monoculars will be good out there, just having a quick scanner and picking up, and then pulling up your glass scope.
100%. We are 100% in agreement with that.
Because you need to be safe at the end of the day.
And this goes counter to our core of our business, but we are still advocates for doing things safely.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to touch on a couple of other things why I think these are good in public land access. Safety. There's a lot more people hunting these days than there has been for a number of years.
Yeah.
Okay? And there are so many more people in the bush, and this allows you to have a chance of actually detecting.
Know who's around.
Someone in a blind.
Yeah.
Someone bedded down, being as quiet as they can.
Vehicles.
Some heat. Exactly. The other thing too is recovery.
Oh,
There
unreal.
are some.
Yeah.
people out there who shoot deer, they run off, they never recover them.
Yeah.
Okay? Happens to all of us.
Yeah, it does.
Right? This gives you won't follow a blood trail, but you will see a big bit of heat.
Yeah, you will.
Lying down somewhere that you may miss visually.
Yeah, we've tracked that night we went out and we tracked that deer for how far?
Oh, that was
200 meters. Yeah, 300 meters in thick stuff, and we found it using binoculars and stuff, and we found it.
We found it because it was lying in some fern trees at night time, which we would never have seen with the light. You know.
Yeah.
But the safety aspect one, I think, for me is the biggest.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree. I would not like to see the introduction of thermal scopes in the high country or in public land because of that identification. Yeah. I think when you come from detection, there's a huge difference between detection of anything and identification of your subject. And we promote it through our firearm safety course. Identification has to be 100%.
Yeah.
You're never going to do it with a thermal scope in bushland as well as using glass.
You got to remember, guys, it doesn't matter how good and how expensive your thermal scope is, it's still not going to be as good detection, identification as the naked eye or through your glass scope. So, you know, even sometimes when we're out hunting, we know what is on the property. If we're on private property, we know it's foxes or something. For instance, on the weekend, we saw a wombat. Yeah. And we were skeptical. We were using high-end, really good gear, and we still were skeptical if it was a fox or wombat and chose not to take the shot, which, you know, provided to be the correct answer. Yeah, because
it was a wombat.
Because at the end of the day, it is thermal, and you can't identify the target that well.
And then even if that was a fox, the correct answer still would have been don't shoot.
Exactly.
Because we weren't sure.
Yep.
Okay? Mm-hmm. I reckon GMA is going to get to that point where they're going to say thermal monoculars, yay.
Yeah.
Thermal scopes, no. And I'm 100% agree.
I agree with that, 100%.
It's going to piss a lot of people off, but purely from a safety aspect alone, I think it's
and like, we love selling the gear, you know, we use it all the time, but, you know, safety at the end of the day is still top priority for us. Yeah. Definitely is.
Well, that kind of wraps up this episode, doesn't
it? Yeah. That's a good question, that last one.
You like that? Yeah. I mean, I only remember, but I only thought about it because we're talking about these slipping in your pocket. I'm like, well, you can't really use them in the high country. Then I remember all the conversations I had with GMA, and that's how my brain just...
Give us your opinion on what you think of the whole scenario too, you know? Like, are we going down the right path? You know, what do you think, really, at the end of the day? Yeah, we've voiced our opinion and what we think's good and what's not good, and
discount code for this week's. Let's do 5% off the FX True Ballistic Chronograph. And the code is just going to be Chrono. CHRONO. That'll knock 5% off the True Ballistics Chronograph.
Geez, that's a good deal.
Yeah, there's no money in the Garmin one, so I can't really do it on the Garmin. There's not a lot of money in the FX one either, but we'll do it on that. 5% off Chrono until, what is the date today? Today is the
8th.
The 8th, so midnight on the 15th of August 2024, that voucher will expire.
Yep.
But Chrono, CHRONO, that'll give you 5% off the True Ballistics. Guys, thanks for watching. We've had so much good feedback on this.
That's been great.
You know, this is the strangest people I talk to. Like...
Me?
No, like, you know... The suppliers, I'm like, hey, I want to do this, and they go, oh yeah, that'd be really cool because I was watching the podcast the other day, and they're like, yeah, we'd love you to do that, you know, in this segment.
Yeah.
And when I was in, we did those remote demo nights up in Bald Hills. One of the guys came up to me and goes, oh, you're the guy from that YouTube channel with the StockCast. I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, you know. So it was just, it's cool. Just the feedback we've had from this is great. So as long as the feedback,
and we love doing it. You know, it's good fun. You know, we love you explaining stuff.
The only time we get to spend together when we're not shooting, Jake. Anyway, guys, that is it from us. We will see you next week with hopefully a Mark IV. Now, if we do have a Mark IV next week, I reckon the whole episode it might be on the differences between the Mark III and the Mark IV.
100%.
Or it might be some other stuff we're thinking about as well.
And we're always open to opinions, what you want us to, you know, have a look at, touch base on.
Yeah.
The ring one was actually a great one. Whoever commented that was awesome, you know. We teach ourselves stuff every day, you know, new stuff. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, we are out. We'll catch you next time. And don't forget to...
like and subscribe.
Take a vegan.
Oh, that's tickling my throat.
I do love these conversations.